Dems' fault. They're literally using this as honestly, as a rallying point for the No Kings rally. Oh, we're going against Donald Trump. We're shutting down the government to stop this dictator, to stop this king. We're doing the right thing by shutting down the government. Then why are you guys defending, or why are you guys acting like this is Trump's fault when you guys are championing the government being shut down? Like, you guys see this as a winning position. You guys are using this as a rally cry for the No Kings rally, and it's not your fault. Right? Is anybody else believing this? Does anybody else believe that?
With this, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here.
But all right, though, let's get over to our man Mandani on Fox News. Yeah, let's see what he got to say.
On to New York. You want to be the mayor of New York City, which, you know, last night I chat GPT'd, where is the capitalist and global finance center of the world? And it said New York City, which made me feel good as someone who loves New York City. Is that a moniker that you're proud of and one that you want to continue for this city?
We should be proud of it, and I will also say that that's one thing you have in common with Andrew Cuomo, because he also uses ChatGPT to answer many questions, including how to actually resolve the housing crisis in this city. And It's time that we are not only proud of us being the financial capital, the cultural capital, but also we should make it a capital of where working people can afford to live in this city. Because right now what we're seeing is that 1 in 4 New Yorkers are being priced out of the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
That's absolutely true. One of the things that's also true is that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs have moved major operations to Texas. They've not abandoned New York, but they're hedging their bets on New York because of the increased taxes that they see coming if you become mayor. So when they do that, jobs move out of the city as well. So how does that help affordability if people in the city don't have the jobs that they once had here?
Well, I'm looking to make this a city that every person chooses, whether they're a business leader or they're someone who works for that business. And the key ways of doing that are actually delivering quality of life, public safety, and affordability for each and every person. Because what we're seeing right now is we have a broken status quo. We have a corrupt political system, and we have the politicians that sustain that. That's really what's on the ballot, is whether New Yorkers want to continue that or whether they actually want a city they can afford. That's what I'm going to deliver.
So, Governor Hochul, you would have to get approval from the legislature to raise individual taxes, income taxes, and also corporate taxes in New York, which you've said you would like to do in order to pay for the free buses and the free childcare and the different programs, the government grocery stores and the like. She says no new taxes in her governor's race. So,
I mean, yeah, because New York is already being squeezed enough when it comes to taxes. So Mandani coming out of nowhere going like more taxes. I mean, bro, the people of New York is like, wait, what? I mean, y'all already squeezed enough money out of us. If anything, y'all should be lowering taxes. But here comes Mandani talking about, look, man, here's these social services, but it's going to be built on the back of you people, of the rich. And I mean, here's a problem. You're going to make the rich leave. And then when the rich start leaving and you don't got enough money like coming in, then what? Then the whole city sinks under bad leadership, because instead of depending on capitalism and trying to, I don't know, bring down crime, try to bring in more economic opportunity into New York, not make it such a fast food job haven. Let people be able to get real jobs, and that they don't need a overly fancy degree for, because that's just the way New York's job market is built. But if you could do that for your citizens, that help affordability by bringing, jobs to the economy. But it does seem like Mandani is not only trying to run away investments, but jobs as well by raising taxes. And that's all it does is send jobs out of states. And when we raise taxes, it send jobs overseas. So, hey. That's all it's got to say, man. Like, y'all talk about tax the rich. I'm about to tax the rich right overseas, and they're going to tax your ass out of a job.
What are you going to do if she won't allow taxes to be raised? How will you pay for these programs?
I've said time and again that I believe these are the most straightforward ways that we can actually fund universal childcare, making buses fast and free. And I've said that the 2 clear ways to do so, raising personal income taxes on the top 1% by 2%, and raising the corporate tax to match that of New Jersey's corporate tax of 11.5%. Now, if there are other ways to raise this money to fund this agenda, the most important thing is that we fund the agenda.
Hey, and shout out to my man Lincoln. He says, man of my word. Hey, shout out Lincoln. Well, dog, come on now. I never doubted your integrity, even though you could be a bit stubborn, even though I don't know what you're talking about, but I do got to give you a congratulations on the baller alert. So shout out my man Lincoln. apparently, I guess y'all, well, and we are about, I would say, like 14 away from opening up the call-in line.
Still think that these are the most important and clear ways we can do it. And I'm thankful to have
Some of
Governor
you guys
Hochul's
up here
support in this race, and the fact that she said we have a shared commitment to delivering universal childcare for New Yorkers across the city and the state.
I think that's great. I think everybody would love to have free health care and free buses and all these things. But the question is, how do you pay for it? The city's already in debt. The governor says no to new taxes. Like Margaret Thatcher said, you know, socialism's great until you run out of everyone else's money, other people's money.
Well, what Andrew Cuomo said is that if he had $959 million, he'd give it to Elon Musk in tax credits, because that's exactly what he did. And I bring that up to you to say that it's often a question of whether you have the willingness to spend that money to benefit working class people, not where that money is in the first place.
So what would you cut? What would you draw from to do it?
I don't think we have to cut. I've spoken about raising taxes on the wealthiest. And frankly, this is an issue that we have here in New York City, and frankly, even across this country. When I've spoken to Trump voters right here in New York City, Hillside Avenue in Queens, Fordham Road in the Bronx, they've told me it was cost of living that drove them to vote for Donald Trump. They've told me it was a promise of a lower actual, whether it be cheaper groceries, whether it be childcare, whether it be rent.
Right.
And what we're seeing time and time again is we're more focused on the question of billionaires and the most profitable corporations than we are on people who can't even afford to make ends meet in this city.
Well, we know affordability is an issue, and I think that all politicians are getting to an understanding of that, and I think that you've done a lot, actually, to bring people's attention to that issue. Let's take a look at the free buses issue just for a moment, because I know you said that the pilot project that you did was one of the biggest accomplishments of being an assemblyman. The Washington Post said this in an editorial about this. Quality inevitably declines when a service is offered for free. Vagrants and drug addicts would camp out all day on New York's buses, especially in the winter. Parents would go afraid to let their children ride alone. Wealthier residents would find another way to get around, but poor New Yorkers who depend on the bus would suffer the most.
Yep.
What do you say to that? Do you agree with that?
And it'd also be competing against the rideshare industry that's in New York, like Uber, Lyft. I mean, shoot, man, they might even mess up the city bus, Dakota. So having free buses, I'm not sure if that's the way, my man. Like, you can make busing more affordable, but free buses, that's not it. And yeah, I mean, they're right. There's going to be a whole bunch of crackheads and all there sleeping on that bus. Why? Because it's free. They don't got to pay to be on there. I mean, like, what? How long are they going to ride around the city for? I don't know about the free bus idea.
Well, I would say that they should actually look at the report of the 5 free buses we delivered across New York City. We didn't see an increase in homelessness. We did see an increase in New Yorkers riding the bus. We did see a decrease in assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%. And we also saw a decrease in New York.
So a decrease in assault on bus drivers by 35% because what? Less people are going on the bus? Well, here's one thing that Mandani didn't mention. Doesn't that mean they're going to be making less money as well? But you know what? Mandani, I'm gonna let you cook.
They should actually look at the report of the 5 free buses we delivered across New York City. We didn't see an increase in homelessness. We did see an increase in New Yorkers riding the bus. We did see a decrease in assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%. And we also saw a decrease in New Yorkers who are having to take a cab or take their own car. They were actually getting on the bus. More than 10% of new riders were doing so. That's why we care so deeply about this, because of the fact that it can actually deliver economic, public safety, and even congestion relief to New Yorkers who are looking to take these buses.
I know that you're turning 34 on Saturday, and I want to talk about your qualifications. You know, some say you have never run a business in your life, so I'm curious, and President Trump said that you never worked a day in your life. You worked as an assemblyman, and you've had other positions in the government. But what qualifies you from your life experience to run the largest city in the country?
You know, I want to take this moment because you spoke about President Trump, and he may be watching right now, and I just want to speak directly to the president, which is that I will not be a mayor like Mayor Adams who will call you to figure out how to stay out of jail. I won't be a disgraced governor like Andrew Cuomo who will call you to ask how to win this election. I can do those things on my own. I will, however, be a mayor who's ready to speak at any time to lower the cost of living. That's the way that I'm going to lead this city. That's the partnership I want to build, not only with Washington, D.C., but anyone across this country.
I'm gonna be real with you. I was actually shocked he had that answer. And this was shocking me about his answer. It wasn't an answer of, oh, I'm gonna go against Trump, or Trump, you better watch how you come around me or watch how you do things in New York. No, he just said straight up, look, bro, I'm willing to work with anybody. I don't care if you're Donald Trump. I don't care if you're on the left, the right. I don't care who I got to work with. I'm trying to make things better for the people in New York City. That's respectable. That's honestly respectable. So I do like his answer on that note.
I think it's important because too often the focus on the needs of working class Americans, working class New Yorkers are put to the side as we talk more and more about the very kinds of corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo that delivered us into this kind of crisis.
So the question I asked you was what specifically in your background?
I mean, shoot, I'm impressed. Bro spent more time attacking his own party than Trump.
Gives you the confidence that you can run a $115 billion budget and run this city specifically from your personal experience and your background?
I've been a state assembly member here in New York City. I've represented 130,000 people in Queens. And in the time that I've done so, I've not only delivered more than $100 million in increased bus and subway service, I've also secured $500 million in debt relief for working class taxi drivers. President Trump knows this. New Yorkers know this across the 5 boroughs. Taxis, as we're looking at them right here, are such a part of what we love about this city. And yet those same drivers were sold a lie about a ticket to the middle class if they bought a medallion. I stood with those drivers. I organized with those drivers. I went on a 15-day hunger strike with those drivers. And we secured $500 million in debt relief that allows those drivers to do more than just think about struggle.
How many employees would you be overseeing in the New York City government?
More than 300,000.
That's a lot of people. But thank you for answering the question. I know that you want to stimulate small business in the city, and we all walk around the city that we love, and we see a lot of empty storefronts. So give me your plan on how you would do that.
You know, I've spoken to a lot of New Yorkers for whom their aspiration, their dream is in that small business. And I've told them that we are going to make it easier to not only open it, but keep it open. We're going to cut fines and fees by 50%, because as you said, we have a city government that has a $116 billion budget. It's not funded by charging a restaurant $25 a year for the right to sell a frozen dessert. We're going to streamline the regulations and rules that these small businesses have to adhere to. Because today, if you want to open up a barbershop, you have to fill out 24 forms, go to 7 agencies, 12 in-person activities. And furthermore, we're going to have a mom and pop czar, someone that'll help these businesses navigate through this. Because while we are holding these kinds of businesses to these kinds of rules, we're letting the most profitable corporations walk all over us here in New York City. And it's part of the problem where so many New Yorkers look around at the wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world and asking themselves, there's all this money, why can't I afford $2.90 to even ride the bus?
So let me just quick question on that.
I mean, because the money, like all the money is with all the rich people in Manhattan. I mean, that's where the majority of the wealth is. It's not with the rest of the people in New York. So trust me, and is that a problem? Well, honestly, that depends on the leadership of that city, because they can make it a way where, I would say this, there's a way where you can make billionaires and you can make the people of New York happy. You can make the rich people of New York and the middle class and the poor of New York happy all at the same time. There's no reason why you got to sit there and, I would say, overly tax the rich and possibly make them leave that state. And that's not going to help the middle class or the lower class. So I just don't understand that strategy of like trying to overly tax the rich and then assuming, it's always the assumption that they could pay more. And you know what? I mean, if they can, it will be proven when he's elected, because I honestly believe that this man will win. I mean, he's up in all the polls. So we'll see. I'm not going to sit here and say that his plan is going to be a complete failure, because honestly, it sounds like it won't even be implemented, because, I mean, the governor's telling him no on raising taxes. But let's say he does get it through. He raises it by 2% and no billionaires leave. You know, I'll eat my words and I'll be like, you know what, Mandani, you was able to get that funding for your people. I mean, respect, without running away all the rich like California did. So respect.
Get to public safety.
But if not, I will be here with the biggest I told you so ever for all you Dems.
Safety, because it's obviously another big issue for New Yorkers. So a lot of individuals in this city pay more than 50% of their income in taxes. When you talk about a fair share, how much more than, what is the fair share? What's the number?
I've said that we should increase personal income taxes by 2%.
Is fair?
And my point is this:
give up more than half of your income. That's
if you're making $1 million in New York City or more than that, you can afford to pay 2% more. And the reasons you can afford to do so is because that money will be used to better your quality of life as well.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to the wealthiest New Yorkers, I hear concerns about the cleanliness of the city, the quality of life in the city, questions of public safety. This money is the money that will be used to deliver on those things so that we can ensure that we have a return on investment for all of them.
And here's the thing, though. Mandani don't know that for sure. Oh, you could afford an extra 2%. I mean, you sure about that? Because you adding an extra 2%, even she said you want them to pay like half of their money in taxes. I mean, how are they going to reinvest into their companies and all that good stuff? How are they going to grow their brand or, yeah, like I say, grow their company, create a franchise? Like, how are they going to do that? And they're getting taxed out the ass. Like, that doesn't work in their reinvestment strategy. That's why the rich people like lower taxes, because they get to reinvest and grow their business quicker. When there's higher taxes, it takes longer to reinvest and make the bit and grow their business quicker and make it more efficient. But hey, if it's planned to get that 2% out these rich people and they're able to do what they can and they don't leave and they're paying over half of their income, and I mean, and New Yorkers get what they want, shit. All right, then. Y'all can have it. Y'all got it. I mean, y'all got it. I highly doubt it's gonna work. I'm really 80-20. I'm like 80% is gonna fail, 20% it could work.
Money that we are raising and spending right here across the 5 boroughs.
I want to talk to you about public safety and your relationship with police. So just in terms of public safety, I want to go to an example first, because I hear from people that they don't feel safe walking home at night. There's drug addicts on the street, right around the corner here. You can walk around the corner and see people shooting up. A lot of garbage on the streets right now. The subway is something that people are really concerned about. Last week, 64-year-old Nicola Tanzi, who was a church leader, a pillar in his community, was brutally beaten to death. I tried to watch this video.
Oh, shout out to my man Hellbat. He's like, was this after Trump said if Mandani tried to go full socialist, he will restrict the money flow to there? Yes, actually. Let me see when this was. I think this was released maybe 15 hours ago. So I know this released today. This was today. So yeah, I do believe this was this was right after. This was after, because I mean Trump did his early in the day.
In preparation. It's very hard to watch. In a subway station in Brooklyn, 25-year-old David Mazarregos had a 20-inch sword. He's the suspect in this case. He was out. They lowered his bail so that he could get out. He was already waiting a trial for attacking someone in Chelsea. 33 past arrests. You were in favor of bail reform. Does that make you want to change your mind or think twice about reversing that?
This is a horrific incident, and it's the same video that I saw. And it's one that horrifies New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and it's completely unacceptable. And what it makes me think about is the necessity of providing public safety in our New York City subway system and across the 5 boroughs. And also, how do we end the revolving door? Because when you look further into the case of whether this individual or so many individuals, especially those suffering from mental health issues, what we find...
here's the thing, guys. Let's take this into, him talking about mental health. I'm going to get to that. But when it comes to taxes, raising it 2%, you do remember that these companies, I mean, they already got a big tax bill. I mean, they got to pay federal, they got to pay state, city. So it's just like, dang, dog, you sure they can even take any more? I mean, they got to pay the city, state, and the federal. You sure that they got any more for you, dog? I mean, maybe you should support Donald Trump bringing down the corporate tax and taxes even further, because now you should be able to tax the rich just a little bit more in your city. Actually, Trump did do that. He did do that and give tax breaks to the rich and Americans, regular Americans as well. So our taxes went down by, what was it? If you make between 30 and 80K, your taxes should have went down by 15%. So, yeah, everybody got a tax break across the board. So, you know what? I'm actually starting to hear the idea of maybe Mandani's cooking. He might be cooking, because we did give our billionaires and millionaires tax breaks. So, can they afford to pay an extra 2% in city taxes? I'm just saying. Now that I'm thinking about it, it could be possible. But let's be honest, though, at the same time, they are stacked when it comes to taxes. I mean, state, federal, city. I mean, that's a lot to deal with.
Is so often the only mental health system that we have that's functioning in this city is Rikers Island. 40% of the incarcerated population there are suffering from serious mental illness.
Why was he on the street is the question.
No, Lord.
Why was he on the street?
Because we have a broken system.
They lowered his bail. He had a bail he couldn't pay. Then they lowered the bail, and then he could pay it. Imagine if you're this family. I mean, and they look at 33 prior arrests, and why? Why was this man on the street? What would stop him in your administration from being on the street?
Because what we would do is actually address the systemic problems that would ensure that someone who goes through the system this many times.
So you're pretty much saying, well, look, bro, what we're hoping, what you were saying was, look, we got to lock them up the first time and then, work with them, but we do got to make sure that they're off the street, and instead of keep on releasing them until they, let's be real, commit a heinous crime. So that's what we were hoping for. But bro kind of sounds like he's leaning more towards the whole socialist police idea that he's been preaching on, you know what, we need to help them with their mental health and all this good stuff. Mandani, some of these guys, it's too late. You got to lock their ass up, dog. You got to lock their ass up. It's too late for them. There's some of them you could help, but there's a lot of them, it's just too late. You cannot have that approach with them. You cannot have that, oh, we just need to work on their mental health approach. It's like, no, you can do that when you lock their ass up, but you can't just keep letting them out talking about, oh, well, we're trying to work with his mental health. It's like that does not work. But shout out my man T Benke. And how you been, brother? He says, I love how Dems talk about a revolving door, referring to prison and jail when they install the door. I mean, literally. No, thanks. It's like y'all are the reason this is happening. But hey, keep it up though. Keep up that high crime rate that y'all like to say y'all are bringing down.
Is actually his issues are addressed. The services are provided. Right now, all we have is going in and out, especially when it comes to mental health. I'll give you an example.
Where would he be in your world? Where would he be? In a mental institution?
He would actually be getting services from the first time that he was arrested, as opposed to having to go through them 33 times. If you look at the New York Times, they did an investigation on 1,000 different incidents of violent crime in the city tied to mental health episodes. Yeah. They found that so many of those same New Yorkers were failed by the interactions they had with the city when they went for help for mental health assistance. And that failure is a blight, it is a stain on our city, and it's a failure that I'm looking to fix by actually transforming this with the only comprehensive plan for public safety of any of the candidates. Because what we are going to do is put out a plan and a proposal that we have shared with New Yorkers to create the Department of Community Safety that would bring together all of these pre-existing silos that address mental health crisis, that address homelessness into one department, provide it with the funding necessary, and actually address this crisis.
Where do these people go, though, is my question. Are you going to put them in a mental institution so they can be taken care of? Or
bring
are you
back
going to leave them at
asylums?
home on medication? What's the plan?
Leave them on home, drugged up on medication with an ankle monitor? Are you going to put them in jail or I don't know, start back the insane asylums, start trying to help these people out without the electric therapy, of course?
There's a plan right now that allows for involuntary confinement, which I think should be a last resort because of the fact that when you look at the actual results, this is something that so often doesn't actually have what has been spoken about. But what we have today that actually works for New Yorkers with serious mental illness, there are things like Fountain House. This is a clubhouse model, peer-led rehabilitative treatment for New Yorkers with serious mental illness. It costs $4,000 to have someone in Fountain House for a year. That's the cost of being on Rikers for 3 days. And what we see, however, is that those services...
they're expensive, but look, man, when we do our second form of slavery, which is the prison system, and really it's our third form of slavery. The second form of slavery was illegal immigrants, and our third form is our prisoners. You can switch those out if you want to, but when we put them to work, they make money. When you make them do these gruesome jobs at the chicken farm or these meat packing facilities, they make money. They definitely do make money. But if you just keep them there and they're just sitting there being prisoners, all they do is just cost taxpayers and cost the city and state. Put them to work.
Increase employment by 50%, they reduce hospitalization by up to 45%, and they actually reduce the cost of healthcare as well for those same New Yorkers. This is what we're looking at. This is why we say that Rikers is broken, the system is broken.
You can just see people who are suffering up and down 8th Avenue, just as one example, and I hope we'll have a chance to talk more about that next time, but I don't want you to leave without me asking you about your relationship with the police, because obviously this is a big issue. You said in the past, I almost don't need to go through it, it's been said many times, but that you called the police force racist, said they were a major threat to public safety, called them wicked and corrupt. And now the report that you apologized to 24 members of the NYPD. What did you say to them?
I apologized for the language that I used, and I spoke to them about the fact that I want to work with them to deliver public safety. Because what we're seeing in the city right now is we're asking officers to do nearly everything we can think of. We used to ask officers to focus on serious crimes. Now we're asking them to focus also on the mental health crisis, to focus also on homelessness. In 1 year alone, the NYPD receives 200,000 mental health calls. In 1 year.
Yeah, and you know what they told me? That 1 out of 3 of those, the person has, they're very, very dangerous interactions. You're going to send a social worker in there?
You can always have a police officer actually come to address that. But look, you're saying 1 out of 3. 2 out of 3 times, if you don't need the police and you're sending them to do that, then why aren't you sending them to respond to shootings and murders? 5, 6 years ago, the response time for officers was closer to 10 minutes. Now it's closer to 16 minutes. New Yorkers deserve a police department that is asked to do the things that it can possibly do, not one that covers the failures of every break in the social safety net.
So police officers that I spoke to, they don't want a behind closed doors apology. They want a broad public apology for the things that you suggested about them. Will you do that right now?
Absolutely. I'll apologize to police officers right here, because this is the apology that I've been sharing with many rank and file officers. And I apologize because of the fact that I'm looking to work with these officers, and I know that these officers, these men and women who serve in the NYPD, they put their lives on the line every single day. And I will be a mayor that
What changed your mind about it?
You know, I moved to the city when I was 7 years old. I grew up here. And 2 of the things that I thought often about was safety and justice. And growing up here, learning about the case of the exonerated 5, learning about Sean Bell, learning about Eric Garner, learning about Michael Brown. And then in 2020, the year where all of these tweets are referring to, it was the year when George Floyd was killed. And it felt like safety and justice had never been further apart. And it was actually Eric Adams in 2021 who said that New Yorkers need not choose between these 2 things. And so one of my focuses was, how do we deliver that justice? And now what I know, having represented 100,000 people in Western Queens, is that to deliver that justice, you have to also deliver that safety. And that means representing the men and women in the NYPD. It means representing the black and brown New Yorkers who've been victims of police brutality. It means representing the Muslim New Yorkers in my district who were surveilled on the basis of their faith.
And 68% of independent voters want more police officers on the street. And Cuomo tomorrow night in that debate.
Well, I will admit, man, let's be honest now. Zohran Mamdani, look, I'm not even going to say he's giving Muslims a bad look, because what the Muslims did in Times Square, and even though people say, oh, they didn't actually take up Times Square, it was a small space. You're right, but it still kind of disturbed the public. And I always did. I mean, I think Myron and Sneeko had a great debate on this. Honestly, Sneeko kind of cooked them, but I was with Myron on the stance of that, yo, if you're a Muslim, I mean, even if you're born in this country, I mean, I would say your religion is a guest in this country. And you should understand that this is a majority Christian country. And not even Christians are out there, you know, ringing the bells at 5 o'clock in the morning, having prayer sessions. They're not doing that. So don't do that to them. And, you know, I think that's pretty reasonable. That's a pretty reasonable act right there. I think the Muslims should respect that. Well, a lot of them do. It's just some of them just don't give a damn. Well, you know, I mean, and then let's be real. I mean, they are abiding by our Constitution and, you know, freedom of religion and the freedom to express your religion in any way you want. I mean, dog, I mean, Satanists can express their religion here. I mean, well, you don't think Muslims can too? So it is what it is. I guess the forefathers, we kind of played ourselves on that whole freedom of religion part, but not really though. Not really. It goes the whole freedom of speech. So I'm okay with it. So shout out Hellbat. While the prisoners work, teach them some fiscal responsibility. Also, did he just pull a Kamala? I grew up in the middle class style, huh? I know, right? Like, come on, man. Donnie, you grew up rich. Like, you had a good lifestyle, man. Your parents got money. Your parents real capitalists. So, what you mean, dog? Like, you ain't grow up poor. You ain't grow up like me. I mean, shoot. If you did, you probably wouldn't be talking like this.
He's going to say, I'm going to bring 5,000 more police officers to the street. Will you match that and agree with him on that?
I don't look to Andrew Cuomo for leadership. And
well, will you put 5,000 more cops on the street?
I've been very clear. I want to keep the number of officers that we have, and I want to make it easier for those officers to do their job. And what that means is that we allow officers to focus on serious crimes. And for all of the focus on the head count, we should focus on the retention crisis. When I started running for mayor, 200 officers were leaving the department every month. Now it's 350. And a lot of them are leaving because there's simply no way they can do their job in what's being asked of them. And to your point, however, Andrew Cuomo is going to say a lot of things tomorrow night on the debate stage. And frankly, I wish it was more like NASCAR, so New Yorkers could see the billionaires that were sponsoring him right on his suit jacket.
Okay, that was funny. I'm about to go, Cap. That was funny. He said the debate should be like a NASCAR race. We just see all the Pfizer. You got Moderna over here. You got APAC over here on the side. All his sponsors, all the endorsers, all printed over his suit. You know, like the NASCAR guys. That'd be dope, though. That'd be kind of hard. I would watch it. I'd be like, "What you mean, man? My man repping Moderna. Like, go ahead, dog. Cook for the vaccines. Go ahead." And of course, I'm just playing, but. Hey, I mean, he got a point, but that debate is going to be tomorrow. All right, I'll go ahead and stream it then. I'll stream it tomorrow.
Because this is a man who had 10 years. And I know now that it's politically convenient, he watches Fox News as well. So I'll just speak to him directly. Andrew, you had your chance to lead this state. You took that time to sell out working class New Yorkers to your billionaire donors. And instead of actually meeting the needs of people who couldn't afford to live in this city, you gave $959 million in tax breaks to Elon Musk. And now you want us to believe that we can't spend less money than that to make every bus fast and free in the same city.
All right. I'm going to squeeze in two very quick ones here,
Absolutely.
if you can answer them quickly. Commissioner Tisch, you have suggested that you want her to stay. Have you asked her to stay? And has she said yes? Because I think that is one issue that would go a long way towards police retention.
I've said that I appreciate Commissioner Tisch's record of uprooting corruption in the upper echelons of the NYPD. Yep. I've appreciated her presiding over drops in crime across the city, and I continue to actively consider her to be my police commissioner. I haven't made any personnel commitments.
Okay, so you don't want to ask her right now?
No. That's the kind of conversation I would actually have in person, in private, not a politics of theater.
Okay, it's an issue that a lot of people brought up with me when I told them I was going to be speaking with you. Last question, you want to have a World Cup czar. I know you're a huge soccer fan, Arsenal fan. I have a lot.
I mean, yay, bro. You in every Arab, bro. Arabs, Hispanics, Africans love soccer. Boy, I should know.
To learn about soccer, I'm happy to admit that. And I look
to
forward to
back
learning
and
more.
teach you
That would be great. What is this World Cup czar going to do for New York City business?
Zohran Mamdani speaking game.
The World Cup is the largest sporting event in the world. And it's as if no one has been thinking or talking about it here in New York City government. It's coming next summer to this city. We're going to have billions of people watching. The World Cup czar is going to ensure that this is a tournament that New Yorkers remember as well, not just those who visit us. That it's a tournament that will signify an increase, not only in tourism, but for small businesses and an exploration of this city. Because for too long, we have had these kinds of opportunities that we've just passed up on. I mean, we recently had the 400th anniversary of New York City. Most people have no idea.
Right, good point.
Because the city didn't do anything about it.
Well, you know, President Trump's going to make a huge deal out of the 250th anniversary of New York City. So maybe there's an example there. And he and his family, his son is a huge soccer fan. So would you welcome them to New York to enjoy the World Cup with you?
I would welcome them to come to New York City and also to talk about how we can actually lower the cost of living, because that has to be the focus. And frankly, that's a promise that's been broken. It's time to fix it. And that's what I'm running to do.
Zohran Mamdani, thank you very much. Pleasure to talk to you. Hope we can continue the conversation.
Oh, yeah. And shout out to you guys because we have hit the goal and the call-in line is open. All right. So if you donate at least $1 more to the stream, or you remember, you can go ahead and hop in on the call-in. Like I said, it is in the post tab on the main page or on my main page on YouTube. Just go to the post tab and it will be the first post you see. All right. Now let's go ahead and get over to, let's get over to the, don't want to get over to the 5. Yeah, let's go to the 5.
Many have tried to imitate, but there's truly only one President Trump. Here he is comparing how he looks in a bathing suit compared to Joe Biden.
I'd like to go to the beach. You know, my legs are not quite as thin as his. My legs are slightly heavier. My arms are slightly larger. My body is a little bit larger than his. I'm not sure it would be appreciated on the beach, but I'm not going to take a chance. You won't see me in a bathing suit. Somebody told him that he looked good in a bathing suit.
Speaking of who's in better shape, a certain governor from California is questioning whether the Democratic Party needs to shape up as they face a favorable rating of just 34%.